Okay, well, if everybody could please put their mute button on for now until we get started. I'd like to welcome everybody to this third of our second Tuesday presentations on Zoom.
We're on mute. Oh, no, we're not.
Yeah, if everybody could mute, that'd be helpful. My name is Rick Shields. I'm president of the Friends of the Savannah Coastal Wildlife Refuges, who is the host for this session. What I'm going to do tonight is just basically introduce our speaker. I'm going to talk about the next couple of speakers that we have coming up. I'm just putting everybody on mute for right now. We're going to talk about the upcoming sessions. I do want to throw in a little something around the holiday issue, is that we have been donated a large number of very attractive wildlife prints by a friend up in Sun City. Many of most of them are from Ray Harm, who is a very well-known wildlife artist. And we have made a catalog of those. And they would make a great holiday gift for the nature lover. There's some very beautiful prints in there of all sorts of wildlife. What I'm going to do is post the links to all of these prints. They're all on the Ray Harm website. So rather than reproducing all the photographs, I'm just going to provide a link to those photographs that they already have on their website. And it has all the information about the years they were put out. Most of these were produced initially in the 60s and 70s, have never been displayed. And I think the color is still very nice on those. And the subject matter, I'm sure, will be of interest to almost all of us. So we're offering a 10% discount on those prints to Friends Group members, and an additional 10% if you mention that you heard about it on this broadcast on Zoom. So if you're interested in seeing those, I will send out a message to everybody within the next day or two about where I've got them posted and how to get them before the holidays. And we're going to go ahead and deliver or let people pick them up at the visitor center rather than try to mail them and risk damaging them. So without further ado, I did want to announce our next two sessions in addition, so people can plan ahead for it. Our next meeting will be the first one in the new year on January 11th, and that will be with Kathy Sakis. Many of you folks know Kathy as the Swamp Goddess. She has been around a long time. She's been the chairman of the board of Gray's Reef. She's been a guide for Wilderness Southeast. And her specialty is Okefenokee. So she's going to be giving a talk all about Okefenokee, its history, some of the many stories that she's collected along the way as a guide there. And also I'm going to ask her to talk a little bit about the challenges around mining and that sort of thing, the potential threats to that refuge. And I'm sure all of us have a soft spot in our hearts for Okefenokee. So I think that'll be a very good session. On February 8th, Carolyn Brauer, who is the Vice President for Government Affairs at the National Wildlife Refuge Association, will be giving our presentation. She works in DC with the federal government, with the House and Senate on the budget committees, and she's going to give us an update about what NWRA does and what the future looks like in terms of budget for the National Wildlife Refuge system in the coming year. That's still a little bit up in the air, but hopefully by then she'll have some more details. In March, unless we find somebody more interesting, I had planned on giving a session on all of the venomous and toxic critters that you might encounter on our refuges. I've done this presentation for refuge staff a few years ago. As the spring coming up and people are spending more time on their refuges, people are always concerned about, snakes and the other venomous critters out there. There's some very interesting research that's happened with venoms recently. I'll touch on that a little bit, but mostly it's going to be an update on what critters you might expect to see out there on our refuges, and then what to do if you do have an unfortunate encounter with one. So that's our plans for the next 3 months. Hopefully by then we'll be able to be doing some in-person stuff again, but we've thought that before many times and it hasn't worked out. So we're not going to promise anything. All right, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce tonight's presenter. Most of you probably know Russ Webb. He is the Refuge Manager. I think his portfolio has expanded to all of the refuges now of our 7 refuges during the pandemic. Russ has a long history with the Refuge complex. He started out as a youth conservation corps as a teenager, and has been with our complex his whole career, which is pretty unusual from what I understand in the service. But he very well known, knows everybody in this area. He was one of my first contacts when I started as a volunteer, and was real helpful in getting me started and oriented. I remember the very first day we met, I was out on the tour of the refuge and lost my cell phone. And Russ, after business hours, got in the truck and drove me all around until we found my phone. So that impressed me right off the bat that he would take that interest. So Russ, with that, I'm going to make you the host and allow you to go ahead and share the screen. Let's see. Well, now I got to find your name here. You're way down at the bottom. Okay, you are now the host and free to share your screen, and you can get started.
Okay. Let's see. Kind of a process here. I think we can do it now. Here we go. I think it's loading. Is it loading?
Yep,
on you
it says
guys?
loading.
Good deal. Thank you. Appreciate that introduction, Rick. And ever since that first day, you're still trying to make it out in the field, and you hadn't made it back yet, right?
You won't let me do any mowing. I guess I ran it into the marsh too many times.
No, you just got an upgrade. Sometimes upgrades get us out of the field. It's not a good thing. And one other thing, I didn't know Kathy Sakis was going to be following me, or I'd have never agreed to do this, but nevertheless, I'm here anyway. You got some great speakers coming up, and I see a lot of faces I hadn't seen in a while. That does me good to see the faces on the computer. But so we're going to call this State of the Refuge. Rick asked me to give an update on what's going on. We know that the 1,000-pound elephant in the room is the Laurel Hill Wildlife Drive. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but we're going to talk about other things also. We've got 6 other refuges that are great, and sometimes we forget about those. So we'll start out with things that are going on with our staff. Some of this is carryover information. This org chart is right for the most part. There's one error on here. Greg Askins is retired. Not Greg Askins, Greg Blanks is retired. I'm sorry. Federal Wildlife Officer Greg Blanks. Greg Askins is close to retirement. But Greg Blanks is left it. He's grilling out and doing what he likes to do, I guess.
Thank you.
So let's start over. We've got some temporary hires still on. Allison Swartz, she's working down at Harris Neck primarily. And as I go through the refuges, I'll talk about what she's doing a little more. Tommy Eglin works with me. He's a public lands transportation fellow. A mini me, if you will. He's helping.
Savannah Coastal Refuges something.
Could everybody please mute except for Russ?
That's okay. That's fine. And also, you guys, I think Rick said we can ask some questions during this. This is pretty informal. So is that all right, Rick?
Yes, if people just hit the chat button down below and just type in their question, and then I can pass them on to Russ. That way I can consolidate the duplicates, that sort of thing. So if anybody has a question, you just go ahead and enter it into the chat anytime, and I'll interrupt Russ when it seems appropriate.
Good deal. Thank you. And Tommy has helped with a lot of transportation projects. And as I get to the prospective refuge, I'll talk about those. We hired another DFP. She left a couple months ago, Natalie Gardetto. She was here 11 weeks and wrote a phenomenal report, graduate school type work. And Matt Bates is still with us. He's a wage grade employee, equipment operator for biology, but he works all across the refuge. You all know that we don't have specific niches at the refuge. We are all jacks of all the trades there. So Matt's a great addition to the staff, and we hope to carry him on into next year and several years after, and maybe make him permanent one day. We've got, this time we've got a couple volunteers. I'm actually missing a couple. I'm remiss at that. There's a couple at Harris Neck I didn't include. but we do have Emily Owens at Savannah RV Camper and Steve Osborne at Harris Neck, which is also his eighth year. Emily's second year. Steve's been going to Harris Neck 8 years, and he's trained by Daryl Woodard. You know, he retired last year, and Steve's really good asset. So, and we have a new refuge employee, Abby Flores. She started 3 months ago. She's taking care of, I said I'm a refuge manager of the whole complex on paper. Abby's taking care of Pinkney, a tall order, and it's the largest visited refuge, or the most visited refuge in the complex. When I highlight Pinkney, I'll talk about some of Abby's interest. I will chime in that she's a recent graduate of wildlife management, wildlife biology from Mississippi State University, a Bulldog. So we're excited to have her. Greg Blanks, as I said, law enforcement officer, retired 3 or 4 months ago. And we also have a new hire, Pamela Garrison, as a law enforcement officer, previously worked at Okefenokee. She starts the 1st of January 3rd, is her reporting date. So she's taking Greg's place, and I've had a chance to work with her some. She's a great officer and going to be a real asset to the complex. So that's some of our major changes and hires. This is an older slide, but it pertains to what our biology staff in particular is doing. And
Russ, could I interrupt
yes.
for a second? There is a question about personnel. You know, Mark Yeager wants to know if we could elaborate on the report that Ms. Gardetto wrote. You said a phenomenal report.
Oh my God, such a good report. I think Will kind of took hold of that, and I think he's doing some other things with it. I don't know if he's going to make it. It was a report on community relations from the Harris Neck community, and I will do due diligence and work with you, Rick, and see if we can share that report. I got to read some of it, and we quoted some off of an application we made for urban wildlife program. But it was just a very well-written report, and it'll be a travesty if we don't share it. So stay tuned. We will share that.
All right, thanks.
Rick, I've got my full screen so I don't see questions. So if you would just interrupt me and ask them, that'd be great. Back to the hunt. You know, the last administration tasked us to, and you guys have heard this before, to add more opportunity to hunting and fishing. This is primarily hunting. And I won't read everything here. We were posed to change hunting, some hunting regulations at Harris Neck, Blackbeard, and Wausau. And these are the Harris Neck one is the first one on the chopping block. It's going to go out to public review really soon. There's not a lot of changes other than a 2-day archery hunt and a couple of days to the managed deer hunt. And all 3 refuges we're going to add incidental species like feral hogs, if they're not already added, coyotes and armadillos. Don't ask me why we're adding that. It was a species that they requested to be added, so we are. I don't know if there's going to be opportunity in that or not, but the important thing is to when these come out for comment is if you feel you know, if you feel like we should modify these or add or take away, please comment on them. That's the important thing. And I know you guys will, and we welcome you too. So these first few slides I'm talking about is talking about the whole complex as a whole. And if you were to ask most refuge biologists, managers, what's the single biggest threat, especially in the southeastern United States, to a refuge, and I think most of them would say invasive species. And that's been that way a long time. And particularly down here, it's feral hogs and Chinese tallow as 2 of the bad ones. So a little bit about invasive species work in the complex that we're doing right now. We were fortunate to receive a $270,000 grant. And I think the position just closed. We're going to hire a technician, and primarily at Blackbeard to remove feral hogs and coyotes. I'm going to report on some of the Blackbeard turtle work, and there was a fair amount of predation this year from feral hogs and coyotes, and we have that same problem at Wausau. So they're getting to be an issue there, and we were fortunate to get that grant. So this coming up year, the Wausau Island Chinese tallow contract, around $80,000, or it's going to be exercised in 2022. So we've done this is about the third year we skipped 1 year because of rainfall, but we're really making a dent on the Chinese tallow and the low-lying areas on Wausau.
Come back.
Russ, are you there?
We did 2 sessions, and we're going to do more. Is a citizen science project with Girl Scouts of America, and treating Chinese tallow at Camp Low, and we also treated at Savannah one time. So, even though, we're not treating hundreds of acres, what we're doing is we're teaching these Girl Scouts, and they're older Girl Scouts, from 9 to 14 or 15 years old. And, the importance of controlling invasive species, and it's really getting the message out. It's a good program. So our biologists on staff continue to practice what we call early detection and rapid response. And we like our volunteers to be responsive on this too. And if they're out doing surveys or whatever, if they see an invasive plant outcropping, they report it, and we jump on it and treat it. And that's happened this year at Blackbeard. We had some salt cedar that popped up, and we went and treated it. And we also had tallow that's not usually at Harris Neck, that some popped up in the area. And the best way to do is treat it early, and so we can nip it in the bud, so to say. The last invasive species control method I'll talk about is this new technology called the Brig trapping system. We've got 2 of these, I think, at Harris Neck, and that's the photograph superimposed under the letters. It is a very ingenious method. It's a cheap trap, as traps go. It's a round netting, and it's got a skirt that attaches.
Russ, we're not seeing the picture of the trap.
We're not hearing him either.
If I invented this, I probably wouldn't be working here now. But great method there. So I was going to move on to specific refuges here. I'm out of the complex now. Lower Hill Wildlife Drive construction. When are we going to get back on the Wildlife Drive? Hold off a little bit, I'll tell you. No, I really won't tell you, but I'll hint at the fact of when we're going to get to go there. So the Monica and Company is developing a refuge complex app for every refuge in the complex. Rick knows about this. I know some, but the app is very comprehensive. It's
Russ, I'm not sure what's going on at your end, but your audio is cutting in and out.
Even though, our wildlife drive's closed, we got 3,000 acres of impoundments that are tied up into all the work going on with the DU project. We're doing some burning. We've burned 2 impoundments already this year. We're doing some mowing. And even though we're likely not to flood this year and maybe not even next year, what we're doing is we're controlling vegetation while we have the chance with the impoundments drying down. So we had talked about, I think Rick said he discovered the Bruce Dixon's project, the Forested Wetland Trail. And that's what I'm calling it now. We haven't named it yet. Probably let Bruce name it, hopefully. But we actually were fortunate. Bruce is working by himself now. Every now and again, I'll help him carry some heavy lumber, but I haven't driven a nail or screwed a screw yet. He's done it all himself. but we got a partnership with American Hiking Society, and we're going to have a crew of 7 or 8 people come down for a solid week and work with Bruce. And that's exciting to have that help. And hopefully we'll have more help with him along and along. But one of this, and I've got a photograph of this, and I'll elaborate a little more on the type project, but I took a photograph today and it's come along real well. Georgia 25 bridge replacement is slated for fall of 2022. We partnered with that in order to make it a better project for the refuge. They're replacing 2 bridges, the Middle River Houlihan Bridge and the Middle River Bridge. It was supposed to be around 37, and I think it's 57 million. It was supposed to be 37 million. Things have went up. But I can give you details on that. Tommy can. We were involved in the whole planning process, and we worked with Federal Highways and Georgia DOT, and painstakingly went the best route for the environment and the refuge to build a bridge and realign a roadway. So it was just good that we got to, be in the whole planning process. So Urban Refuge Grant, I'm going to talk about this a little more in detail. This is very, very exciting. We made it to round 3 of the Urban Refuge Grant, and actually the acronym is UWCP, Urban Wildlife Conservation Program. If and when we've got 2 urban refuges on the complex, Savannah is one and Wausau, believe it or not, is the other, Chatham County, city of Savannah. Urban Refuges is a program that started in 2011 from an idea called Conserving the Future. And basically, urban refuges are earmarked
Russ, you're fading in and out again. I don't think he can hear me when he's faded out either.
And we provide equitable access for everyone. Remove those barriers that keep certain folks from coming. And we also ensure visitors feel safe and welcome. I didn't realize until this year, but there's a whole population of people that don't go to refuges because they're afraid of refuges, whether it be those venomous snakes Rick's talking about or bugs or whatever. And we want to reach out to those people and let all people enjoy refuges. And also the last is they want to have a model of sustainability, want this to carry on in the future. So and I'll get down to the skinny on this. The Urban Refuge Grant is going to give us $1 million a year to hire employees to be a part of the community and make the refuge relevant. And I know people are out there saying, well, let's open our wildlife drive. We're going to open that thing. And if this Urban Refuge Grant kicks in, we're going to be on the map, put it that way. It's going to be very exciting. I've got more slides about the Laurel Hill Wildlife Drive and a little more news, so stay tuned.
Oh, just to clarify, Russ, Judy wanted to know where the wetland trail is. It's at the Savannah National Wildlife Refuge Visitor Center, behind the Visitor Center. Yes,
what it's going to do is traverse behind the Visitor Center and loop through, and I'm going to call that a Carolina Bay. It's a very, really unique wetland that stays flooded all year, and it's going to wind through that wetland and come back on the hill further down.
Now we're talking snakes.
Oh yeah. Snakes are good though. That's why we have a refuge. But definitely it's going to be a great trail and be able to utilize that forbidden swamp, if you will. It's not really forbidden, but it's hard to get to, but it'll be easy with the Bruce Dixon Trail. So I'm going to move on to GOA. It's geez, what is this acronym? I got so many acronyms. Great American Outdoors Act. So what that is a big slug of money from the current president's administration. And what we're going to do is we're going to hire, we've been slated to hire 2 wage grade employees from this GOA program. We actually tried and we didn't get enough applicants. We're going to try again this year or this first of this next year. And also with this GOA comes funding of 12 earmarked deferred maintenance projects. And that's around $500,000 worth of projects that are basically funded. We just got to get it organized and get the contracts out and get the people on the ground doing them. So one thing about it, I kind of like a lot of bureaucrats, I kind of complain about staffing, and staffing is about 50% down from 14 years ago or so, but we are getting the funding. So what we're doing is we're trying to get creative ways to get the jobs accomplished with seasonal hires, and these GOA hires are seasonal also. So it's getting harder and harder to hire a permanent employee, but seasonals are still out there for us. So we're taking advantage of that. So the last compatibility determination is one that Monica pretty much was the brainchild of, special gathering CD. And I like this one because it allows us to permit some special gatherings like weddings and other gatherings. But as long as the wedding doesn't take away from the mission of the service, the wildlife mission, conservation. But what this special gathering CD is, allows us to be relevant. And I think it's important to be relevant. I know the friends of the coastal refuges support us, but if we get everyone supporting us, that's strong also. So I'm excited about this CD that we got going. So the famous boardwalk, everybody sees this well. This is all Bruce's work.
Russ, excuse me. We're just seeing a blank screen. We're not seeing a picture.
Really? You're seeing the
there
writing?
we go. Yeah, there we go.
Is that the writing or the, okay, let's let it load. It may take a while to load.
No, the picture's up now.
Okay, good. So this is directly behind the visitor center. And you can see in the distance, Bruce hasn't quite made it to the water yet. Once he gets into the water, it's going to go a little slower. You'll notice there's no decking now. He's got plywood there. We've got decking. We've got Brazilian black walnut that's been promised to us. There was a court case from the harbor, and the Brazilian black walnut can be harvested, but it's got to be in a sustainable way. And this wood was brought into the ports illegally and harvested in a forest in Brazil that was prohibited. So the government of Brazil flew down and worked with our law enforcement division, and actually came out to the refuge. We gave them a tour, and the Brazilians said, "Look, use this wood. It's cut already. We can't plant it back. So use this wood in your mission and to help spread the message." So this wood is phenomenal. It's rot resistant, and the deck's going to be beautiful. And so this is our new walking trail, the beginning of it. So we're going to start talking about our real topic here, the wildlife drive. I'll buzz through this. We all kind of know why we're doing this work. The wildlife drive is important. It's the only public-owned conservation area in the lower Savannah River. Primary objective is waterfowl and other wetland dependent migratory birds. We know we're important. You guys know we're important. That's why you want to see the refuge functioning. However, so the development of the estuary has reduced the tidal freshwater wetlands by 2/3, and that's therefore elevating the managed freshwater impoundment still more. The levees over the last several decades have subsided in many areas we're well below the 12-foot elevation, means sea level rise. So with sea level rise and hurricanes, 12-foot was no longer high enough. We were getting inundations. We had to close the wildlife drive periodically because of this 9-foot tides. And the series of hurricanes was the straw that broke the camel's back. Do you see this slide, Rick? Priority components?
Yeah.
Okay, good. When we first knew we were going to get the $13 million, we set aside priorities, and those priorities were based on pool value of management and migratory bird use in the past. And so what we had to do was, first and foremost, is retop the dikes and slope the berms. And the berms help make the integrity of the dikes that hold the water back, maintain the integrity. So we had to raise them, had to redig the ditches, interior ditches, and perimeter canals. And in doing so, we utilized the dirt to rebuild the dikes. And it still costs $13 million. We replaced 8 rice trunks. We're installing 20 ramps. And we're putting in 1 new spill box. So the survey and design's done. The construction cost is $11,900,000. This is a little short. We ranked priority. We funded priorities 1 through 31A. We've added another 10 priorities. We're about at 41 now. I'm pretty sure we got another couple million. Don't worry, that's not going to lengthen, hopefully, the project. So when we decided all this, it was September 2020. Now, 16 months later, we're right at 50% complete. So you can breathe a sigh of relief, because theoretically, in about 16 months, we should get 16 more months, we should get closer to finishing. So back when we started this in September 2020, we said 36 months we'd have to be done, 3 years. So we're chugging along, and I've got some photographs that show some of the work. This is actually the same angle. If you look at the hammock, pool 14, this is the blowout that was there.
That picture's not showing up, Russ.
Okay, let's see. Let me try it again.
Got it.
Got it. Okay, it takes a little while to load. So I thought it'd be, as much as the general public and the everyone wants to get on the Wildlife Drive, I want to get on there too. I don't make it out there a lot. I don't want to get in the way of the construction. I snuck out there today because I had this before picture and I took an after picture of the same area, and very compelling. Obviously it looks better the after project conditions. This area is essentially finished, but we've got like 30 miles of levees to get done. It takes a long time, obviously, but not only notice the nice rock and the hole obviously fixed in the levee, the same levee, but the elevation difference. The grass on the left side is the dike berm. Look how much lower down the grass is at the same level, but the dike's up about 4 feet higher. Truly amazing. We used to have a lot of complaints about us not mowing enough on the shoulder so people couldn't see out into the impoundments. Well, this extra 4 foot, you can see right out down into the impoundment. So wildlife viewing is going to be excellent when we get out there.
I live that.
So this picture will probably take a second to load too. Sorry. Did it load up, Rick?
These are the same pictures we just saw, the structure 14 blowout. Oh, here we go.
Okay, here's the different one. This is the structure 12 and 13 on the corner. On the left side, you can see the petromat, and it washed around the rice trunk. And the rice trunk was removed because we added so much material till the rice trunk wouldn't function anymore. We had to install a new one there. So you see the hammock, that picture is basically in the same location, but about 4 foot higher in the air. I'm going to talk quick around. This is not a slide that I generated. Chuck Hayes, our biologist, he's a very smart man. He developed a way to measure functional capacity versus management capacity. Functional capacity is the ability to control water in the impoundments, the infrastructure, the height of the dikes, the structures themselves if they work, and the management capacity is the people, the staff. He drove parallel lines here, and over the years of our infrastructure failing, and then us not hiring behind people. One compelling note here is you can see my pointer, I guess. The DU project started in September 2020. And right now we're here in this area here. Hopefully in this area here, we're going to open the Wildlife Drought back up. So this low spot is us not being able to flood anything because the work's going on. So hopefully the fall of 2023, when we flood out, we got this much capacity there, function.
Russ, I don't know what's going on, but you're in and out on the audio again. I'm not sure if you can hear me right now.
Folks on the tractors like he's got up here. This was the good old days when we got in the fields a lot with the tractors. So we're good. We're going to get there. That's our number one priority and our reason to be here on the Savannah National Wildlife Refuge. So we're working on it. Just a really good shot. Are you getting this already, Rick?
Yep.
Okay, a really good shot of how it shows how we utilize we're killing two birds in one stone. It's maybe a bad analogy, but we're utilizing the dirt out of the ditches to dig the ditches out and make them carry water more efficiently, and also utilizing the dirt to raise the levees and slope the dikes. So this is they've got these excavators and pontoons and making a lot of difference out there. One of the brand new water control structures. And now, by the way, these are all done. I think we put 8 in, the contractor did, and they're all ready to go.
Russ, do you know how many miles of ditches there are on the refuge?
Well, there's about 30 miles of levees. I think there's probably 120 or 30 miles of ditches. I think we measured them one time. It's an amazing amount, linear miles of ditches, because every impoundment has a perimeter ditch around the whole thing. And there's quarter drains in the middle of most of them. So there's a lot of conduit around there.
And those are all dug by hand, mostly by slave labor. Is that correct?
Definitely. They weren't, the shape we were, they were crude, but nevertheless, they were dug by slave labor, Irish workers, and slave labor. Definitely. Let me see. What really is amazing is when you take an aerial photograph and look at all the ditches that are out in the tidal marsh that were active rice fields up until about 1900. Those were definitely all hand dug. So we're going to move on to Wausau, and the backdrop here is the Adams Creek sign that we put in this summer. We lost this sign at Hurricane Matthew, and we just got it in the mail about 8 months ago and installed it. Now we behind it all the way to the land is all Wausau Island. So a few things we're doing, we got going at Wausau. Our Coretta partnership is excellent. The Coretta project saves us a lot of money and effort. Our due diligence on our eastern loggerhead sea turtles. Coretta surveyed 316 nests this year, and it was making it the third most successful nesting season in 49 years of work. So it was a great year. We're doing good. The turtles are doing great. They tell me, I'm not a turtle biologist, but they tell me that our success now is based on what we did, 40 years ago. So I know Chris, I hate to talk about this subject with Chris listening. She knows so much about it, but another project we've got coming up this year is our bulkhead in front of Wausau, the house proper and the only hub where the public can moor. The bulkhead is failed and it's fully funded at $520,000, and it's set for next month to start construction. One amazing thing about this is the contractor is going to do a lot of extra work for us for free, and the way of taking a brand new tractor over for us, taking the old tractor off and bulldozer off. And that's tens of thousands of dollars worth of work for free. And I'd already mentioned that the Chinese tallow treatment contract is going to be executed next year, or at $80,000. Got the new tractor. And this is also an urban refuge. We partner with the University of Georgia and Skidway Marine Institute. They do some great work there, taking kids out. Hopefully with the urban program, we're going to be able to fund some of the kids that are less fortunate and get them out there and learn about the Barrier Island ecology. So we're trying to partner now with the Wausau LLC to approve King's Grant on the island, which would help out tremendously. And one really good caveat of having a King's Grant on this area, we think we have one. Wausau LLC has a framed copy of it. If one has King's Grant, things that happen in the tidal marsh, like horseshoe crab harvest, we can stop that. We can regulate that. And that's a big market north of here, even in Charleston. And we hear that it's coming this way. And so horseshoe crabs are a very important part of shorebird migration. And we got King's Grant here and could enforce that jurisdiction. We could regulate any harvest of the crabs there, horseshoe crabs. So this is a pic of the washed out bulkhead we're about to repair. I'd say it's needing repair. Actually, that all used to be land there where those cabbage palms are. And it's undermined and working its way back to the house. It's got about 20 feet to go before it undermines our quarters area. So it's right in time.
That picture isn't coming through, Russ.
Oh, it didn't. Okay. Let's see if it will. Sometimes I click away and come back. It's probably a pretty large file.
There we go.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, that's pretty compelling there. It's a low tide shot. You know, everyone knows we have about a 6.5, 7 foot average tide here. The hurricane made this wall fail, and every couple weeks we lose an inch or two, and it's working its way back to the house. So this project is going to repair all this and armor the shoreline, and we're going to taper it in such a way where it becomes a living shoreline also. That's a great project there. Harris Neck, great refuge. With our wildlife drive shut down, the pandemic, I've been trying to steer people to go to Harris Neck. It's a little bit of drive to Savannah, but the wildlife drive's still open. It's a beautiful place. Of course, everyone's heard about our partnership with the direct descendants of Harris Neck community. We've got funded to design a schoolhouse concept. And the schoolhouse is a Rosenwald design. And there was a benefactor the last name of Rosenwald that built houses, but schools for African American communities around 1900, a little after 1900. And there was one on Harris Neck, and we've been able to find the exact plans that with help from Rick Kanaski, our archaeologist, what the school looked like. So we've got a
Russ, if you can hear me, your audio is out again.
We actually wrote our DFP, helped write a new junior ranger booklet that incorporates the cultural history of the former descendants of Harris Neck, as well as other important things about Harris Neck. And we also have kiosk panels that we've designed. They're on order right now that better reflect the history of Harris.
Russ, once again, your audio is out. I don't know if you can hear me.
Graph of that. Crabber stock.
Russ, excuse me, your audio is kind of going in and out. I don't know if there's
Okay.
anything at your end that you can figure out what's causing it, but it goes in and out intermittently.
Okay. Has it been doing that the whole time or just recently?
Well, it started out that way, then it got better. And then it just in the last few slides, it started acting up again.
Okay. Let me see. We're actually, the biologists are converting a lot of grasslands and the invasive Bahia grass. They're converting it to more suitable for pollinators, butterflies, and also these birds, these sparrow communities, and grassland birds. So right now they've done some spraying down at the there's several acres down around the Barb River area that they've treated the Bahia grass, and they're going to let milkweed take over and other forbs and natural clump grasses. So that's a big project they're working on. So of course the wood stork work continues. Pond management, we've got a series of ponds there that we've been able to put new structures in, and added conduit so we can better deliver water to these structures. And of course, we're working on the feral hog control there also, naturally. I'm going to skip through this. We talked about the history of the direct descendants of Harris Neck Land Trust and all the good work we're doing there. The water management, this is a scenario about what I was talking about. We've been fortunate since 2018 to have some grants, and we finally spent all that money this year and got everything complete. We've got the aluminum water control structures in, planted the cypress trees. We got the pipes delivery system going to the 6 ponds that we flood for wood storks. Woody Pond being the main nesting pond, but the other ponds are drawn down strategically to feed wood storks and other wildlife. So most of you guys have been to Harris Neck. It's an excellent refuge. So we have spent this money and we're up and rolling there for sure. So this is a fresh off the print photograph. This is the this is next to the Wildlife Drive. It's the levee between Teal and Greenhead Pond. It's the new structure we just installed.
You might want to try going back and forth again. We're not seeing the picture.
Okay.
Now it's up. Now it's up.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, the new riser and aluminum riser. So that's on the Wildlife Drive between Teal and Greenhead Pond. So that will allow us to manage water in there. I have got the boat ramp in there now. I'll wait a little bit. I'll start talking about it and it'll pop up. This is the public boat ramp. And if you'll notice on the photograph, it has failed. Essentially, it's settled and separated. These cement blocks are chained together with stainless ties, and they've broken and settled at the bottom, and it's made a wedge effect. And the patrons of the refuge, the fishermen, and folks getting out of Blackbeard catch their tires in here and tears up trailers. So we got a big project to repair this, and it sure doesn't look that expensive, but it's about a $380,000 project.
Yeah, we're not seeing that picture yet. We're back on the riser.
Okay, that's wild. It's kind of weird how it comes. It's kind of slow. I don't know. We just got good internet connection here. Did it come in yet?
No, now we're showing a page that says projects, updating interpretive resources.
Really? Huh.
The picture of the boat ramp came up just briefly and then went back. Now it's up. That's the boat ramp.
Good. Yes, you can tell the damage on the boat ramp. That wedge effect gets wider and wider as you go down in the water, and when the trailer tire hits that wedge, and as you pull up, it tightens in on that small spot, and it tends to rip your trailer apart. We haven't closed it, but we've got warning signs. If you straddle this bad area, you're okay. But we're gonna fix that probably in March. Construction will start on that. So I think this is the last one I'm covering. Pinkney National Wildlife Refuge. It probably hadn't switched yet, but I'll start. As I mentioned, Abby Flores is watching after Pinkney, and she's a recent graduate. So she's a recent graduate of wildlife school. So she's really fired up about wildlife management. She's kind of wanting to continue on the frog bit control on Star Pond and the Chinese tallow. She's working with the staff biology program. They're doing some research on some some papers that have a pretty innovative program that uses aggressive fire to control invasive plants like Chinese tallow, while also promoting diversity in that maritime forest situation. So that's a pretty cool program they got going. She really wants to continue the volunteer recruitment. Of course, Pinkney, you guys all know that the volunteers run Pinkney. They do a great job. Most 300,000 visitors a year, and it always looks excellent there. The Highway 278 bridge replacement and road modification is going to start. I think it's in early 2023. But $290 million project, Skull Creek and Mackey Creek bridge replacement.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do about this intermittent loss of audio here, but at least you can see the map.
You can see the map now?
Yeah, we can see it now. It just had the audio had dropped out for a few seconds there.
Sorry. Now you see the Pinkney Island Road. Yeah. So that's the new road plan. What it's going to do is fly over the tip of the south tip of Pinkney Island, which was our objective. When you have a highway, a massive highway on pylons, it's less, it has less environmental impact than you go on the ground. So if a person exits this road 278, they're gonna be going to the boat ramp or visiting Pinkney National Wildlife Refuge. So this is going to be a very safe exit now. If you guys know, you go to Pinkney, it's dangerous. So this is going to make it a lot safer. So is my audio doing now good, Rick?
It's clear right now, yeah.
Good. So Blackbeard Island, I have one more. The turtle program, I'll read a little bit on that. I know I'm going long. Sorry, guys. The turtle program this year had 304 nests, and Loggerhead, 1 green turtle nest. And we're going to do a barge run in the end of January, basically to get rid of tons and tons of old junk that's been there for years and years. We're writing our hunt plans. I've already talked about that. The invasive species grant, with hiring the person to stay there and take care of coyotes and pigs. And we're also going to expand the public mooring to the current dock. The photograph here is the crematorium. There was a story put out, and I need to share that with the group, about the parallels between the Blackbeard when it was set aside as a quarantine station and the COVID crisis we're going through now. Really good story. Maybe I'll send that to Rick so he can share it on the site. So
Yeah, we just lost his audio again. I believe that was a yellow fever quarantine station, as I recall.
Build Back Better. I've already talked about GOA, Great American Outdoors Act, deferred maintenance projects, and MAT team projects. The Build Back Better initiative is where we're getting a lot of that funding. The coping with the pandemic, outdoor recreation, refuges keep people sane. You know, when you cooped up for a long time for COVID, you know, refuges are saving grace. So we're there. Social equity is very important. We're working on recruitment, diverse recruitment and engagement with the urban programs. Climate change, the Wildlife Drought work. We're adapting, more resilient to hurricanes and sea level rise. And we're also planning, if and when we buy land, we're going north of the refuge to combat sea level rise. So all these things are ways we're adapting. And so I know I went a little long, but that's it.
Level's been restored. I'm not sure what Flag Pond is.
Flag Pond?
It's a Blackbeard pond, an interior pond.
Dot, hello. It's been a long time. How are you doing?
You look great, Miss Dot.
Did you? Now, I think, Russ, you were, your audio was out there when you answered that question.
Okay. You hear me now though, right?
Yes.
Good deal. Yeah. Flag Pond is the largest pond. It's where the nesting islands are for the wood storks. And quite frankly, we always say it's a wood stork nesting, but it's Miss Dot was talking about it. Very diverse nesting, great egrets, night herons, little blues, ibis. It's a very rich, diverse nesting, colonial nesting island.
All right. Any other questions for Russ? Well, Russ, I wanted to thank you so much for doing the presentation, although we did have some audio issues there, but I think the message got across. A lot of interesting information, a lot of interesting things happening recently and to come. And I think, again, it's a long time to have to wait for the Wildlife Drive, but it looks like it's going to be a whole lot more user friendly as well, with getting the levels up so you can actually see down into the impoundments. Anybody else have any other questions for Russ? I did want to give a quick, go ahead.
Are we saying fall of 23? Is that when the Wildlife Drive should be open?
Well, we're hoping spring of 23, if that's possible, but a year and a half or so, something like that. And obviously that all depends on weather and all the other kind of things that go into consideration. But that's sort of what I've been told, is fall or spring rather of 23. I did want to give a shout out to Abby Flores. She had suggested that we produce some shirts for the Blackbeard hunt. It was the 75th year, was it, Russ, for the Blackbeard hunt? So we printed up some shirts at Bahama Joe's, and we cleared about $1,500 on shirt sales. So that was a nice little fundraiser. Obviously, our fundraising has been restricted considerably during the pandemic, but that was a nice little addition. Anybody else have any questions for us? If not, I'd invite you all to come back on January 11th to hear Kathy Sakis, and then February 8th with Carolyn Brauer. She actually just a little too, she was a graduate of the USC School of Law and is licensed to practice law in South Carolina, worked for the Peace Corps and for Ducks Unlimited for a number of years before going to the NWRA. So I'm looking forward to hearing her contribution for what's going on at the national level with funding and what we can do as individual friends groups. So if there aren't any other questions, I will end the session. It takes a little while to convert this to a format where I can post it on the YouTube channel, but I will do that in the next day or so that if you missed it or part of it, or unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to improve the audio, but if you have anybody who you think might benefit from listening to it, you can go ahead and forward that information to them. And if not, I will look forward to talking to you again after the first of the year. Have a happy holiday and safe, everybody. Stay safe. This thing isn't over yet. I know it's hard to keep these precautions up this long, but boy, you'd hate to get sick now after you've been being so careful all this time. So, let's be careful and be smart about it. And then we'll see you all next year.
Thanks.
All right. And again, Russ, thank you.